Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak. I hope this Ramadan will bring for you and your loved ones abundant blessings. In this Ramadan, I would love to share with you some of my reflections on a few Quran ayat. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my reflection on the first ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, the cow, and that is the second chapter of the Quran. So it starts with three letters, Alif Lam Meem. Many Quran surahs starts with the initial letters, and these initial letters are said to have mystical meanings. So some scholars said those letters include all possible sounds that a human being can produce. It also, when connected together, can form a sentence, and this sentence says in Arabic language, كتاب حكيم قاطع له سر, which means a wise, decisive book that has a secret. So those some of the reflection that been said. Also, it been said that each letter maybe symbolize a word. So it's an initial letter of a word, such as Alif is the initial letter of the word Allah, the name Allah. So all of these meanings, what does it mean to us? Like, I'm trying to find a meaning that can help us in our daily lives today. What is it Allah is trying to tell us when He starts these surahs, these Quran chapters, with initial letters, just letters? So some of the inspirations I got is that Allah wants to tell us to slow down rather than just rushing to speak, to take the time to hear these sounds, because sounds have profound effect on the universe. Words have a profound effect on people. So every sound we make is a vibration, and this vibration affects your surrounding. Also, any word you say, it is not in a vacuum. It reaches a brain through, of course, the sense of hearing. It reaches the brain of someone, and it affects their neurons and reform their brain, which means reform their feelings and thinking, and affects their actions afterwards and their view of the world. So we have to really be careful of our words, and we have to take time to think before we speak. So the Quran is telling us to slow down, and rather than just keep chatting, to take the time to hear these sounds and reflect on its amazing effect. For example, when you say Alif Lam Meem, you are prolonging the letter, the vibration, and you are slowing down. So that's one purpose of it. That's why we recite Quran with the rules of tajweed. And tajweed means excellent way of recitation. And the rules of tajweed helps us to prolong the recitation and to chant it in a beautiful way, so that it can have a calming effect on our brains, on our minds. So this is how we should be reciting it. We should take our time and not just to rush Alif Lam Meem and then we rush the words, but we have to take our time and just listen to these sounds as a way of meditation. And also, those sounds are not meaningless on their own, because a scientist tells us that the human being came with these sounds to resemble sounds in nature. So every sound resembles something in elementary in nature, inspired by, for example, the flowing of water or the birds or the wind. And that's why some letter uses the wind, some letters are moist, some letters are dry. And this is a science actually that many Muslim thinker, mystics, and philosopher contemplated it and found some valuable knowledge about it. So again, sounds are related to elementary particle even. Why? Because one of the Muslim mystics and philosophers, Ibn Arabi, said that the whole universe is created with the Arabic alphabet. And it is interesting because the standard model of physics or particles physics tells us that there are 28 main particles, and the interactions between them is what forms the universe. Those elementary particles are, according to quantum physics, vibrations, and sound is a vibration. So our sound resemble these elementary particles. And just as when letters join together, they form words, and when words form together, they form sentences, and sentences form a whole book that is full of meanings. The universe is also formed with these elementary particles that, when joined together, they make atoms, and the atom makes entities, and the entities are categorized or make speeches, and those speeches or entities in the universe, they make a book. And that book is a living book, and that book has meanings. And the human being is the link between the meanings, the realm of meanings, and the realm of forms or physical forms. And the human being is able to abstract meaning from the universe and lead a meaningful life. And that is what makes us unique in the universe, that we can abstract meanings. And from that ability to abstract meanings, we can express emotions and thoughts in speech and in many other ways of expression, such as art or even science. We express ourselves in many ways. And speech is actually the secret that allows us to do that. The ability to come with sounds, again, that comes from nature and resemble nature, and then make these sounds into symbols, and those symbols can be written, and when we read these symbols, we understand what they mean, is what allowed the knowledge to spread from generation to generation and from culture to culture. And that knowledge is what enriches humanity and help keep evolving humanity. So again, the sounds are vibrations, just as the elementary particles are vibrations. And those vibrations form an effect. For example, when we look at the word such as sizzling, it kind of resembles the sound of what is happening. And so when you say the word, it has the same effect on the brain, kind of in a similar way that the experience also makes an effect on the brain. That's why words are important. If we say a painful word for a person, it stays for eternity inside that person. Sometimes it goes to the long-term memory and get forgotten, but mostly painful words stay in the long-term memory and are retrieved over and over again. And it is found in scientific research that physical pain cannot be retrieved, like the memory of it. You can say, yes, I had pain when I fell down and injured myself, but you don't really relive the pain, physical pain that you felt, unless it is really an intense trauma. But otherwise, it is mostly forgotten. It is in the short memory. But words that can leave an effect that can remain for long, long time or even for eternity. That's why words are powerful. And they found out that the painful word that stays in a long memory, it is not easily removed. It cannot easily be removed. That's why apologizing, trying to rectify the hurt that you caused someone is very important, because you need to erase that effect. So letters, sounds are powerful. We also learn that now they use sound to, for example, they are still experimenting it to heal. Some scientists did research on cancer cells with certain vibration, and it's still in early stages, but some of these researches are promising. So sounds can be used in healing. And again, this is due to its effect on the brain and on the body. We all know now that sounds have an effect in liquids. It has an effect of everything, actually, even in solid matter, but maybe we can't really perceive these effects just immediately. Most of the effects are hidden from immediate recognition. So again, the surah that starts with initial letters tells us to slow down, to pay attention to sound and its effect, to use it as a tool for healing and meditation, and to also be careful with the words we say. Because as the Prophet ﷺ warned us, that our tongues can be the tool or the fuel that leads us to hellfire. And most of the time we think that this is something later or maybe something unbelievable. But when we really understand that the word we say brings hellfire now and here, immediately, once you say an offensive or hurtful word to someone, it can bring this fire. It can fuel a fire between you and the person, and even a fire within you and within the other person. So if we understand that the effect of the word is here and now, then we need to be more conscious. And one way to be more conscious is to recite the Quran, to do meditation, to do retreats, to sit in silence and to contemplate and reflect. And all of these tools are meant to awaken our consciousness, so we don't act in an autopilot mood, but we act in a conscious way that knows that everything we do and every word we speak can have an effect. So may Allah bless us and guide our tongues by which we speak, our hearts by which we feel, and our intellects by which we understand and reflect. And may He always use us to say the right thing in the right moment, the most effective and wise word, the kind word. And as the Quran says, A kind word is like a tree. Its effect, it has a ripple effect. So Allah says its root is firmly fixed on the ground, but its branches reaches heaven. Because a word you say, it can reach multiple brains, and it can be told after you from one person to another, and it can have this kind of branching, and then it can be misunderstood also, or cause fire. And that's why especially people in a position of leadership, or a position of being popular and speaking to many people, have to be extra careful with their words, and always pray before it and ask Allah if it is the right word in the right time, in the right place. Will it bring unity and peace and harmony, or it will bring separation, and it will bring hurt, and it will offend some people. Of course, as human beings, we will do mistakes. We're not angels. We are prone to do mistakes. But there is wisdom in this, because mistakes is what teaches us, because things can be known by their opposites. We know justice by knowing injustice. We know what compassion is when there is a lack of compassion. We know and long to know love when we don't feel loved, or when we are overflowing with love. So things can be known by their opposite at times, and that's why we do mistakes. But mistakes can help us feel the fire that polishes us, awaken our consciousness to know what are the beautiful qualities, to know what we're supposed to learn, and live up to that reality, because without it, we will experience a fire. So may Allah guide us to be able to live up to our words also, because sometimes we may say a word and we may not mean it, or we may claim something and we don't live up to it. So we have to make our inward reality match our outward expression. And don't despair when we do mistakes, because again, by mistakes we are getting awakened, and by mistakes we can get to taste and experience one of the most profound and beautiful divine qualities, which is the quality of forgiveness, of pardoning, of forgetting the offenses. Thank you very much for joining me today, and see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.